Cool.
What's up, Dad?
Man, it's not as bad as it looks, you know?
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I hope that that's the motto for, I don't know, life these days.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm just saying, I know I look rough right now. Last night was a rough one, but, it's awesome.
How are you feeling, man? How are you, wait, so when was your daughter, right?
Yep. Yeah.
When was she born?
Mariah, she was born December 4th. So
Fresh.
6, 7 weeks now.
Yeah, man. So walk me through the last couple of weeks. What's it like? Where's your head at?
I have no idea. It's just with her, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's everything is different, you know. The whole world has changed, just my whole world has changed since December 4th.
Yeah.
So it's like she's just the center of the universe and I'm just spinning around her.
Yeah. Is there anything that is it possible to, I mean, I'm trying to think back 6 weeks in with my daughter, and I probably couldn't answer this question, but can you pinpoint like what the biggest change is thus far?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually trying to think about it because something is different, right? So you feel different, something's different, but it's hard to articulate. Yeah. And I think it's just like there's nothing is abstract anymore. Mm. Nothing is hypothetical. Mm-hmm. It's like this is life.
Yes.
This is real. Like,
yeah. I felt like for me, there were, you have your priorities as everything, as a husband, as a partner, as an artist, as a musician, whatever. And then it's like, none of that matters as much.
Right. Yeah. Everything else got bumped down a few notches, which is in a lot of ways, I think it's great because, you realize how much power you were giving stuff that ultimately doesn't really matter. Mm-hmm. It doesn't really matter to me anymore. Stuff, nothing's that serious anymore to me other than her. Yeah. And my wife, obviously, but, stuff that used to bother me, when I see it now, it just makes me laugh. Yeah. It's great. It's like a real Zen, I don't know if Zen is a word, but a real calming mindset in some ways,
That's good. That's good. I mean, I will tell you that my daughter just turned 3 and it's fun. It's like, right. I know. And these early days are so enjoyable because it's not a reset. It's like, it's like a completely new, it's obviously a new chapter,
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. Just realignment, I guess.
Yeah, it's a shift. And you're also like so sort of like sleep deprived that you always have that little bit of like sleep deprivation high going. Yeah.
Yeah. I found it, I feel like one of the things that playing in bands prepared me for the most was having kids. Cause you gotta waking up at weird hours. You're just like, all right. It's like getting a bus call at 4 a.m. You just do it. Yeah,
it's definitely easier to get up for your daughter at 4 a.m. when you haven't slept than it is to get up for a lobby call or something like that.
For sure.
So it definitely prepares you a little bit.
For sure. What was the process like? Like you said, it's not hypothetical anymore. So what was the lead up to it? Like, was this something that, you and your wife had sort of, the capital P plan? It was like marriage, house, kids, or what was that process like for you guys?
I think for her, it was playing with a capital P.
Mhm.
And for me, I think it was playing with a lowercase p. I don't know. It was, yeah. we're together. We love each other, and we got married, so we knew we were gonna try to have family.
Mhm.
And at the beginning of pandemic, I was in the basement. I had brought all my gear to the basement. I was just working down there, and she came down, and she was just like, "Babe, I think I'm pregnant." So it wasn't like specific, all right, now's the time.
Yeah.
But,
But you had that ballpark.
yeah, we had sort of like the, I don't know, paint by numbers thing, like halfway filled in. And
Yeah.
I don't know, like we weren't like caught off guard or like, we wanted it to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. That's, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
What, so let's see, December. So she's really gone through this whole pandemic pregnant. I mean, what was that process like?
I mean, she would really only be the one that really knows exactly what it was like, but I think it was nice because she was able to work from home for her job at first.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, in some ways a hidden blessing. And then, the first time we had to go to a doctor's appointment, it was a little bit scary because it was really still like the deserted era of pandemic where you went outside and felt like you were in that Will Smith movie.
I Am Legend. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Legend. So that was sort of weird, like going to take her to the doctors for her first, check on the baby. And it feels like you're in this dystopian movie,
Absolutely.
And then I couldn't even go into the doctor's visits, which was kind of rough for me. I don't know. I think the biggest thing was probably not being able to be around family and friends that much for support, and just to be able to help us out and take a load off of her feet.
Absolutely.
But she soldiered it. Yeah.
They do.
Happy, healthy baby 9 months later.
I mean, every time I talk to like a new dad, an old dad, I'm just like, man, like, yeah, we do some stuff, but they do the stuff,
Yeah, 100%.
It's absolutely incredible. Are you? So 100%. You guys are you in Philly?
Yep, we're in Philly. We're in Germantown.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Are you in New York? Where are you at?
I was, and for us, a big change in this pandemic was that we had our second kid in June. Same process, like no doctor's appointments for me, and
right.
He's we bring him back, and we're just like, we can't do anything really. So we ended up leaving in July and coming up to Connecticut, where all of our families are, and crashing with my wife's parents for a few months, for a while. And we actually just found a rental and are like trying to piece it together to stay here long term and buy something.
Oh, nice.
Which feels really good. It feels good to commit to a place.
Right. Yeah.
Which actually, I want to ask you about that too, because I know that I don't know, last time we talked, I know you were just starting to piece together your studio.
Yeah. It's a thing now.
And is that in your house?
No, it's in this sort of like industrial commercial loft building, like probably about a mile away. So it's nice. It's close enough that I can like sort of like run back and forth, you know, if I got to come home real quick or if I forgot something at the studio.
Yeah.
But it definitely is easy to work when I'm there.
That's awesome.
It's separate from there's no TV. It's easy to lock in and, you know, crank some stuff out.
That's great. Did you do this? So this last record, this SWTS, that was all there?
That was everything was there except for the strings. The live strings we did at this place called Rittenhouse Soundworks, which is also kind of like down the street.
Tell me a little bit about that project, because I think the last couple times we spoke, it was, you know, you were definitely like full on Killiam Shakespeare.
Yeah.
What's been the trajectory from, I guess, from the second Killiam record to this?
Well, so we put out the Town Called Elsewhere record in 2019, like 2018, like close to the end of 2018. And then 2019, we were kind of, you know, hustling, working that, trying to build some buzz, get some traction with it, which we ended up doing, you know, pretty decently, especially for an unsigned band. And throughout that time too, I had I had built my studio. I was working with, you know, other people in Philly as a writer and a producer and stuff. And yeah, so I started working on some other projects, and I think the stuff with Killiam kind of reached a point with everybody where it needed to chill for a minute because the joy was sort of leaving it. And you know, it's tough because that, you know, we all loved that band and, you know, those friendships. So yeah, that was sort of tough to see how it started and then where it got to. But yeah, so throughout this whole time, I'm still working on music and stuff. And my friend, the Bull Bay, who actually did a song with us, with Killiam, that we ended up going to Africa with DJ Dizzle to shoot a video for, because he put the song together and put it out. We ended up starting working on a bunch of music, not really knowing what it was going to go towards. And eventually we were sort of like, yeah, we're building up a nice little group of songs. We should put this stuff out. And then as we were sort of working on it, a pandemic hit, and that sort of put a hard pause on everything. And I would say maybe around June or July, we just reconnected and we were like, yo, we got to finish this up. You know, let's see how we can make that happen. So we finished it up, and we finished it up and put it out, just, you know, because we both wanted to put it out, because, you know, and it's been nice seeing how people react to it, because I wasn't sure how people were going to react to, I mean, for lack of a better term, like an experimental rap record almost.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel like anything changed? I mean, so much changed, you know, in March that I feel like it's hard to zero in on one thing, but did you kind of pivot? I think we've seen a lot of people really pivot to that mobile workflow from obviously Zoom to like programs where you can sort of like share your DAW and basically like record mobily. Did you kind of test any of that out, or did you kind of go, internal when it was locked down?
Yeah, I went internal, you could say. I brought all my stuff back to the crib from the studio, set up in the basement, started just tearing through beats, just making a bunch of beats.
How do you feel like that process works for you from two points of view? One being a time management point of view. Do you feel like you need to say, this is my block of time, especially now that the baby's in the mix? And then from an inspiration standpoint, like, do you just try to, like you said, tear through, and if it's good, it's good. If you're like, man, I'm not feeling this, not feeling it, throw it away. What's that creative process like?
Well, at first it was like, felt awesome to have all my stuff in the basement and I could just go down and be home and knock out joints.
Mm-hmm.
And that really only lasted like a week and a half before it was like I hadn't gone downstairs to the basement in another week and a half. So yeah, I mean, I think for me, I need a little bit of structure I need a little bit of structure to say, all right, I'm free to just focus on music between this time and this time, or, I can go to the studio for a few hours, now and just clock in. And I try to just really just do that as much as possible, whether there's I mean, this might sound like arrogant or dumb, but I'm not really ever not inspired to track something. I think, like, for me, the tough part is putting in the work to finish a song. So that's sort of like what I have to focus on, having the discipline to finish stuff. And then when I'm making stuff and I'm sort of like, I don't really like this kind of sucks, I just save it anyways, because I've had too many cases where somebody either really likes it and uses it for something, or like 5, 6, 7 years later, I'll revisit it and just kind of know how to finish it or put it together to make it make sense.
Mm-hmm. What's your do you usually have a starting point? I mean, obviously you're a incredible piano and keyboard player, but as you sort of turned, I mean, in my mind, as I've seen your career progress, I start to think of you now more as a producer, or just an equal in those regards. Do you have like a workflow? Do you sit down at the keys? Do you sit down at the kit? Are you like programming beats, or is it all?
It's a little bit of everything, but it's mostly, I would say, one of two things, which is either, and thank you, man. Thanks, by the way.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. It's usually either starting with the ASR 10 and messing with some records, trying to pull something from records, not necessarily like a sample that's recognizable as, all right, this is a soul sample that uses this part of the song and then this part of the song, but like a texture that can sort of start an idea. And then building the track off that. Or usually I don't really sit down and start on keys to record something unless it's a pre-existing idea, like a song that I already have, in my voice memos that I wrote, or something that I want to track out.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then I was just listening to, I've been trying to listen to more like musician interview podcasts to just like see what everybody's talking about, and it's cool. There are a lot of them, I will say.
That's probably like 50% of my time during this pandemic is checking out interviews and tutorials, all that stuff.
Yeah, I feel like the bulk of what I'm listening to right now is so like my daughter is all about, like, obviously all kids love Frozen, whatever, we know that. Like soundtrack and like the Trolls, the second Trolls movie soundtrack, which we can talk about that another day. But I feel like I listen to less music, and there's so much new shit coming out all the time because of, the way we're consuming it now. But I really do like listening to like Eric Krasno has a great podcast that I've been digging. But I was just listening.
Eric, he does? Nice.
It's called Plus One. Yeah, it's
Plus One. It's
great, man. He's just,
I gotta check that out.
I mean, he's always been like a guitar hero for me, but he's just, I feel like he's played so many gigs and knows so many people about it. Just dope. But Rick Rubin has one, and he was talking to Pharrell, and Pharrell was talking about like working with Rihanna, and he's kind of asking how you get in a vibe with an artist. And Pharrell was like, he goes, Rihanna, gives me a feeling that she wants. I want it to feel like this. And then I reverse engineer it from there. Mm-hmm. I started thinking, like, what do you have a flow that you like to get in when you're in that sort of more co-writing, songwriting process with an artist?
I think it depends on the artist, because everybody is so different. And that's one thing, like, I've sort of learned with experience, is that everybody, who's writing or creating music from themselves is like their process. No two people's process with, especially people who rap or sing, is even like remotely alike. At least the people that I've worked with, So I'm sort of just like, I don't know really how to describe it. I mean, if I have an idea that I'm like, yo, we should work on this, I'll say that. But in general, I'm kind of like, not really, I'm letting them dictate like the workflow. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to make everything as comfortable and as smooth for them to get their idea out. Because they don't, a lot of people don't say stuff like, I want the bridge to be in another key. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's just not how a lot of people talk if they don't play an instrument. So they might be like, I don't know. I don't know what the best way to describe it is.
But you're saying that they'll use non-musical terms, and it's up to you to translate it into music.
Sometimes, yeah. Or just like keep the mic on and see where they go. Mm-hmm. I found that is really like a gem of just, not trying to over analyze or over plan what's going to happen, or over produce or over direct, try to control a situation, is to see where people go naturally. Mm. And then adjust based on that.
Yeah, I think, another great musician podcast is, of course, Questlove Supreme. But yeah, every time somebody mentions, something about those Electric Lady sessions that, whatever birthed neo soul, or, yielded Voodoo and Mama's Gun and things fall apart. It's just like the amount of raw music that was made and then sculpted after the fact is incredible.
Right.
I like that. That always seems like a really attractive way to make music, kind of in a luxurious way at this point, but
yeah. Yeah, especially if you're in a $1 million studio like Electric Lady.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, do you feel like at this point you're kind of honing in on a sound, on certain things that work for you, whether it's from a producing or a keyboard angle, or are you just trying to be, or do you feel like you don't want a comfort zone? You'd rather just experiment?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two ways. You have to have a comfort zone as far as being able to deliver something that sounds good when that's called for. Like I really want to start getting into, scoring more things, which that's not as much about like, let's see how weird we can get, or, I mean, maybe it could be, but, that's more about delivering a certain vision that's not even entirely your own. But then on my own side and the creative side, I would really like to just keep exploring, because I feel like if you get to the point where you sort of have a formula that's got to be kind of boring, I would imagine.
It's formulaic. Yeah. And I think that is, let's say it is boring. Absolutely. Going back to, your early years, we met, how old were you? Probably what, 15?
I guess
Because I
would have been
12
or 16. Yeah.
That's
amazing. Wow.
It's been some time. Yeah.
Tempest Fugit. Phew.
What was music like for you? Now that you're a father and have this family, you get to set the tone, or you and your wife, musically. I will say again, until your daughter is 2 and 3, I don't want to listen to that. But thinking back, what was some of the music that was on in your house? Then some early like formative memories and records that you attach to, or early musical memories.
See, I think my earliest musical memory is really playing the piano. And you
had one in the house?
Yeah, we had an old upright Story and Clark piano. I broke a key once by hitting it with a hammer.
Nice. That's experimental.
Yeah, that was experimenting early. Yeah. But yeah, and then I started taking classical piano lessons when I was 5. So those are probably my earliest memories, is learning classical music on the piano. And then in the house, I don't really remember what was going on super young, but overall my dad listened to a lot of music. Like, music was pretty much on whenever he was home. And it was a lot of classical music, a lot of Beatles, a lot of Cuban music. For some reason, he's not Cuban, but he just loves Cuban music.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. My dad was the same way. I don't think he rocks like that anymore, but he was into like he went through a huge like Cal Jader, like Latin jazz.
Wow.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe we'll go through those phases.
Probably. Yeah, probably will. And he's not Jamaican either, but he had some reggae and dancehall records. Not so much, not really dancehall, like older reggae stuff. Motown.
Mhm.
So he was playing stuff like that, but I remember always listening on walk. Remember, you had a Walkman with the tape. You could put a tape in.
Yeah.
So driving anywhere or walking anywhere on the bus, like I always had a Walkman, and that was pretty much A Tribe Called Quest, The Chronic, Doggy Style, Nirvana, Soundgarden, kind of whatever was on the radio. Like all that stuff was on the radio. And
is that how you found that stuff? And did you was it an era where you had to kind of hide it from your parents? Because my wife always tells a story of her dad finding her copy of Doggy Style and just being like, what is this? And just it was a blow up. Did you have to listen to that on the DL?
Not really, because my uncle loved West Coast rappers, like West Coast rap music, and they live in LA. But when I remember one summer they came to the East Coast, and it was like right after it was the Chronic and Doggy Style were like the biggest records in the world at that point.
Mm-hmm. And
we would be riding around in the car and my uncle would just be blasting that. And my dad was just like mortified, obviously, at some of the lyrics. Yeah. But he sort of I guess he sort of realized that it was, an art form and not necessarily meant to be taken literally at all times. But I can't say my mom was too into it, which was probably why I was listening on headphones a lot.
Yep, definitely. Do you ever are those records that you go back to? Like, you ever put those on?
Yeah, especially the Chronic.
I mean, for me, with those artists you mentioned, I could listen to Tribe Called Quest nonstop. If someone was like, this is the only artist you get to listen to the rest of your life, I'd be like, all right, that's fine. And also Soundgarden is, favorite band of all time, probably.
Oh,
so
nice.
It's just, that stuff sounds amazing. Are there any other records that you like, kind of going back to what we were talking about this, saturation of music, and how it's hard to keep up with new stuff?
Yeah.
2 questions. Anything that's come out that really made you listen and re-listen and sort of get into more? And then do you have a record or two that is just like a touchstone that if you need to go to a familiar place, you can put on and sort of have that moment, probably a record that you know inside and out?
Well, to answer your first question, the sort of like the record that I forget the way you described it, but that record would be To Pimp a Butterfly. That is probably I was actually thinking about this yesterday, where it's sort of like every generation has like the closest thing to a perfect record that's going to come out. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that was this generation's. Maybe the previous generation was Voodoo, and then this was To Pimp a Butterfly. So I listen to that a lot just because I mean, I love Kendrick's rapping.
Yep.
I love, the depth of that record with the orchestration and the textures. I love the playing on it. I love the writing on it. I love the drums on it. I love the mixing.
Everything.
Yeah.
I know when that came out, I confidently can say I had never heard anything like that. Like there were elements of the DNA that I could sort of suss out, but as a whole package, man, you're right. I think I introduced a lot of people to Terrace Martin, and
right.
he's, in terms of a producer who is a musician's musician, like he is, I mean, he's at the top, in a lot of respects. So
yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, I really like Damn too. I really like the Damn record that they put out too. But
I loved Untitled Unmastered. I thought
right,
really cool, weird, sad sounding stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that kind of answers both questions in a lot of ways. It's like, if you know that record, on a deep level, it's something that you continue with. It's like a well that you go back to for inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you like, in your listening, are you a vinyl guy?
Not so much like just listening for pleasure. I have a turntable at the studio that I sample from, but when I'm listening, I'm actually usually just on headphones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I felt like,
yeah.
I think one of my pandemic, like I felt like, we can't go to shows, of course, we can't, how are we going to support these artists? And when Bandcamp was doing those Bandcamp, and still is doing these Bandcamp Fridays, I was like, I got to buy some vinyl. And that's what I started doing. And it felt really good. The last vinyl I think that I bought was I'm not going to hijack this interview praising your friend too much, but Simon Martinez.
Great, yeah, please.
Holy shit.
Simon deserves all the praise out there.
I mean, that all of the records.
Was it the most recent one he put out?
Yeah.
The Where's My Money? Yeah. Incredible.
And the two older ones. I mean, I think that was actually the thing that I've heard most recently that just like fucking turned my brain inside out.
Definitely.
And it's just
yeah, I haven't heard any of his music on vinyl, which I'm sure sounds crazy.
I haven't opened the vinyl yet because like
it sounds amazing through headphones too. So
yeah, I've just put it on headphones from Bandcamp, and it's oh my god, like I hear like that's another record where I hear so much in the layers, and then the full package is like indescribable in a lot of ways.
Yeah, Simon's coming to the studio later today.
So please tell him he's my favorite guitar player. The production.
I think he hears that a lot. Actually,
he should. He's got so much going on in his playing. It's
yeah.
How did you link up with him?
He was going to aughts, which is a music school down here in Philly. And he was like playing with everybody. So, Philly's small enough that I mean, not now, but back when people could play out and stuff, you would sort of, everybody kind of knows everybody, even if you don't necessarily get the chance to play together. And then he ended up playing a few shows with Killiam. And then after that happened, Killiam had two guitar players.
Right, I remember that. Yeah, it's very right.
So then, we've just been great friends and making music since then.
We can't say what the future holds for playing together again.
Right.
I saw that you guys are doing. Did you already cut the World Cafe?
Yeah, we recorded it and they're airing it tonight, I think, actually.
Sweet. And that was at Birdbrain?
It was at Birdbrain.
Nice. Was that the first like live? Is that going to be the first kind of larger scale look at the space?
Sort of, because I mean, basically it's the first video that we've cut there, and it's not really like built to be everybody cut together type of space to begin with. Mm-hmm. But we figured out how to do it, so we sort of like, we didn't actually cut it in the studio, we cut it in sort of like the front room lounge storage type area. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, I can't wait to check that out.
Nice.
Do you miss playing on stages, live music? Do you miss that?
Yeah, I do. It took me a while, but I do now.
You feel like that you can, now that you're a father, can you see yourself going on tour?
Yeah, because I can see myself having bills to pay.
That was actually my next question. Now,
yeah.
I know that, correct me if I'm wrong, but you majored in economics, correct?
Yes.
So I'm just going to ask plainly, like, are you making money as a musician? And what did you get government assistance? I mean, for me, I'll start. Living in New York, I was always trying to put it together, playing in bands and stuff and writing my own stuff. But I was always working at restaurants, and I got laid off because the whole industry crashed, and I've been on unemployment, and it's a real blow to my ego, to my self-worth. I feel oftentimes like I can't, and I'm not providing. And then I have to think through all of those negative thoughts to get to the positive stuff that's like, but you're doing stuff, there is a little money coming in. Do you have those sort of like, tsunamis of thought and doubt and how am I going to make money? What am I going to do?
Sometimes. Yeah, I mean, sometimes now, sort of just like, man, the longer this goes on, what am I going to do? Because I was getting unemployment too, and that ran out a while ago. And I've been lucky to have sort of like a few things here and there that I wasn't expecting to pop up. But it's still, it's not like it should be or like it was. And it's also sort of like all the stuff that I would normally say, all right, well, let me start teaching lessons. Can't even really do that because, it's because of COVID. Yeah. So I don't know. I try not to really like get depressed about it. And, I'm lucky to have an amazing partner who understands what is going on in the industry right now and is not, is just being cool basically. And has a job. Yeah. Also important. Yeah. And, in some ways it's tough, but in some ways it's a blessing in disguise because when I was touring and stuff, I really didn't want to be touring to make money. I wanted to be making most of my money off of working, however, in the studio. And because of the way stuff is now, I'm able to be in the studio so much more that it's starting to work out more to that effect. And, just different stuff that I wouldn't have expected. Like got hired to basically like recreate, basically like sample replays, do some of that, and a few recordings here and there that I wasn't expecting came through, and yeah, so it's sort of like forced me to start to create the structure that I will actually want moving forward, even when stuff does open up.
Yeah. Which I don't know, man. We got these variants coming in. We got
I've been selling gear too. Honestly, like I've sold a bunch of gear that I haven't used in a while. You know,
if you're not using it, I mean, that's the thing. If you got do you feel like the ASR 10 is that was one of my questions. What's your favorite piece of gear? You feel like it's the ASR 10?
It might be, man.
I mean, it's a classic for a reason.
It's a classic for a reason. That's for sure. It's a classic, and it has a sound.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Do you mess with like soft synths and then plugins a bunch and just like go down those rabbit holes?
A little bit, but yeah, a little bit, but I'm usually just a little more inspired with analog synths. So, and I think they sound better.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's some really cool patches and sounds on a lot of the soft synths, and some of them are pretty crazy. But they always do sound a little bit thinner to me.
Yeah, you just don't get that like slight little crackle or slight little
just slight imperfections and weirdness.
That's what makes it, for sure.
Yeah.
But what's next on the docket for you on the calendar, aside from trying to get some more sleep?
Trying to get some more sleep. Taking Soraya to get her shots next week.
Nice.
So I'm not, that'll be tough to see, I think.
Yeah, the first one's a little tough.
Yeah. And then musically, I'm working with a bunch of singers and rappers down here, creating some music and stuff. So those will come out. I have an instrumental project that I'm just kind of trying to finish and figure out. It's so hard to figure out like what the best way to release music is,
What have you found? Have you found any platforms that you like, or has it dripped?
No, I wouldn't say I found any that I like. Because they would have to pay for me to like them.
Yeah.
And but I will say that as far as like strategy wise, I'm definitely starting to lean much more towards frequent, like less shorter projects more frequently than trying to create magnum opuses once every few years.
Yeah.
I'm definitely leaning in that direction.
Yeah, I think growing up, naming the records that you named in the Walkman, it's like those inspire us to try to scale those mountains too and make track, like you said, magnum opuses. But the world is just moving at a different pace.
Exactly. Yeah. All those records from that era, I feel like growing up on those kind of hardwired our brains to think that way.
Yeah.
But today, people put out songs every week,
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. But I like it. That's the other thing. I enjoy just randomly discovering that Madlib dropped an album yesterday.
Yeah.
And he dropped the album 2 weeks before that,
However, we're talking about Madlib, so That's cool.
Yeah.
The Jahari Masamba unit. Did you check that one?
Yeah.
Wow, like, who are you?
Yeah, it sounds
What are you doing, man? Do you have a lot of friends who are fathers who gave you advice like you're gonna need to do this and this is gonna happen?
They mostly just said, sleep now because this is the last sleep you'll ever get.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. I'm also really just looking forward to when I can bring her to the studio with me.
Funny you should mention that. I'll send you my quarantine project was I made a record with my daughter who
Oh yeah.
she was
Nice.
she just turned 3. So I would just voice memo, she's super musical and very like rhythmic. So she'd sing something and voice memo it, drop it into Logic, and then start messing around. We got some songs here. So I put it on Bandcamp. I'll send you.
Yeah, please.
It's super fun. It's an amazing part of the process to see them like get into music.
Mm-hmm.
It's very cool, especially because all these like toys and shit have the same like shitty voices, melodies and whatever, and like so when they start going off on their own, it's really fun.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see what she gravitates toward, her taste in music and stuff.
I feel like tapping into that creativity that you do every day when you're with her is and rewarding in a way that is different than when you make a beat and you're happy with it. It's just a different part of the heart and the brain.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's cool.
Definitely.
It's cool, man.
And you have to come up with creative ways to to get her to fall asleep or to get her to stop crying.
Yeah. Do you sing everybody has their lullabies. Do you go for the classics or are you singing other
I just go weird. I start singing like operatic voices and stuff to like sometimes she'll just sort of like stop like, what are you doing? But it works.
It does. Yeah, you got to keep them on their toes.
Yeah.
However, you got to show them who's boss.
She's the boss. That's clear.
That's true. Yep. You're just there to make sure nothing falls through the cracks.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, Corey, thank you for taking time to talk with me, to be on this series where I talk to friends and mostly other fathers so far and see what's been going on. I'm super excited for you.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Anytime. It's always great to talk to you and catch up, hear what's going on.
Please give your family my best.
I will.
Yeah, good to talk to you, man. Be well.
You too.